Hey guys, what's up? A little bit of music intro there for you. Mr. Miller here. What we're going to look at in this video is complex numbers and how do we deal with them when trying to simplify square roots. So what I'd like to do is have you guys start with just computing some square roots on your calculator. And let's take a look at the square root of 32. Punch 32 in your calculator, hit the square root button. What do you get? What's popping up? I'm getting 5.7 when we round to the nearest tenth. Okay. What about the square root of 88? 9.4. Now, the square root of 162 is going to be 12.7 when you round to the nearest tenth. But now, if we try to take the square root of negative 162, the little black calculators that I have, they just keep showing me negative 162 again. Depending on what calculator you're using, maybe an iPhone, or maybe you have a standalone calculator at home, you might get an error message because the square root of negative 162 doesn't represent a real number. And I'm gonna just try to do it on my iPhone for a second. I'm intrigued. I'd like to see what an iPhone tells me the answer is. Square root. And what I'm getting is there it is. Okay, I get error. That's what it says on my calculator on my cell phone. So right now it looks like the square root of negative 162 does not have a square root, but not so fast. There's a way we can work around this, and the way we work around it is not with the letter I. And when I say I'm not talking Eye of the Tiger, Rocky Balboa, or aye, Captain, like we're on a ship. We're talking about just a lowercase I, and we're going to say that lowercase I is the square root of negative 1. Now you might be saying to yourself, okay, how is that useful? Doesn't make sense. Well, what it's going to do is it's going to allow us to be able to compute square roots now that have negatives in them. So how would we break up the square root of negative 48? We're going to break it up the same way we would positive 48. It's just we have to deal with the negative with it too. So here's how I would recommend starting off. Separate the negative from the 48. Now let's break up. We picture our negative not being there. We break up 48 now. What is the biggest perfect square that goes into 48? 16? And if I'm taking out 16 from 48, what do I multiply 16 by to get back my 48? Well, that would be 3, right? Now let's simplify. We just said on the last slide that if I have the square root of negative 1, that's the same thing as saying I have I. We're going to kick out square root of negative 1 because it just looks ugly, and we're going to replace it with I. What's the square root of 16? 4. And then the square root of 3 can't be broken down any further. Its largest perfect square factor is 1. It's done. We're just going to condense this now together, okay? I don't mean to circle it because I'm not saying it's my final answer. I'm sorry about that. Where's my eraser? Let me see if I can get rid of that. Okay, let me highlight it. That might be a better way. So what we want to do is just condense this. Typically, if you have something other than 1 with the I, that number's going to go first. We're going to write 4 first. I will come next, and then the radical comes at the end. And there we have it. The square root of negative 48 is 4i times the square root of 3 Fabulous. All right, let me have you guys take a look at one now. Have a go with example 2. Pause the video, work it out, check your answer. Okay, guys, check it out. Are you ready for the big reveal? 3i square root 11 is the answer. We have the negative we take out. Biggest perfect square factor of 99 is 9. That leaves 11. Square root of 9 is 3. 3i square root 11. Beautiful. Let's try one more, shall we? Let's take a look at example 3. All right, so now we're going back in time to make a kind of a circle. If you think back to the slide where we were doing square roots on the calculator, the last one was negative square root of 162. Now we can compute this. We can figure out what this is thanks to our good friend I equaling the square root of negative 1. What's the biggest perfect square factor that goes into negative 162? Is it 81? Were you thinking 81? Something tells me that's what you were thinking. Great minds think alike. 81 would be correct. What's the square root of negative 1? I. Square root of 81, 9. Square root of 2, well, square root of 2. Not going to break down any further. And then the last thing we do is condense our answer. Just to recap, if you have a number with the I that's other than 1, then put the number first. I comes next. It's sandwiched in the middle. And then, so like in a slider from White Castle, I would be like the middle bun. And then the square root of 2 follows at the end. And there you have it in all its glory. All right, guys, I hope you found this video somewhat interesting and informative. And what you're going to do now is show me your notes so I can then give you the access to the practice assignment in good old Math Excel that we love and adore. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.